guys! So today we're going to be making an old-fashioned kind of recipe. We're going to be making cornbread pie, which is really yummy, especially if you're a cornbread fan like I am, and I think everybody in the South is. But it's a really good recipe, and it starts off with a beef base, so we're going to show you guys how we do our beef. So for those of you, when cooking your beef, you don't like to fry it because you don't like the smell in the house. I don't either. We stick it in the crock pot. And how long do you put yours in the crock pot for?
About between 2 and 3 hours. About 3 hours.
Yep. But when you first wake up in the morning, you can just go ahead and stick that in the crock pot and have it done for dinner. Like when you come back home from work or whatever. If you have a time crock pot, it's really nice.
Okay. We are going to strain the grease out of our ground beef.
No, we're not pouring it in the sink.
No, ma'am. I actually rinse my ground beef as well. If you want to look up, there's 88 videos out there that tells you how much of the calories you reduce by just rinsing your ground beef. Sure, it does take a little bit of flavor, but it really helps with your calories if you have to be like me and calorie conscious.
So now we rinsed it and she's pressing it out. Doesn't it reduce the whole like pound by about 200 calories, doesn't it?
Oh, more than that. It goes from, I don't want to give exact numbers because I haven't read the article in a while, but a pound of ground beef with all the fat in, I'm talking like 80-20, not a really high quality hamburger, is like somewhere over 1,000 calories, and it goes down to a little less than 600 calories.
Yes.
Of course, you don't end up with a whole pound of hamburger because some of it cooks away, but most recipes account for that anyway.
We have poured it back into crock pot and we're going to get started mixing everything up. So we are using tomato soup as your base. You kind of go by texture on this. So for the pound of hamburger that we have, or the 2 pounds that we have, we need at least 2, maybe 3 cans of soup. We'll let you guys know. Brief moments.
On the day that we're filming, I'm making this for a friend, so I'm using a disposable pan. I'm going to spray the pan while she's adding the tomato soup.
And for those of us, me, who don't like washing dishes, that's also a great option. Maybe not the friendliest for the environment, but like, Again, you can kind of use your own guidance. This is 2 cans and what it looks like in there. And it's a little meatier. You can totally do this, or you can add a third. And Mom, what you about to add?
Oh, I'm opening the taco seasoning. I don't have a package, I just have the
can from Sam's. Yay. Okay, we are going to mix in a 1/4 cup of taco seasoning. Again, if you don't buy the big containers, you can buy them at Sam's, Costco, probably even Walmart, Amazon, wherever you shop. You can buy the big containers of the seasonings you use more frequently. Now, we are using homegrown corn, which we might post a video later about our corn and the process of getting it to this state. But it is equal to about just a regular can of corn, about that size. Yeah, this is homegrown corn.
If you use a can of corn, you'll have to drain it. This doesn't have much fluid, so you probably don't have to drain it.
Alrighty. And it is stirred all up.
The original recipe says to put your cornbread on top and bake it a little longer than you would regular cornbread. We have made it with regular cornbread many a times. My family happens to like this recipe with the box cornbread that's slightly sweet. But you can make it with your regular cornbread recipe, but you don't need to put a lot of cornbread because if the cornbread gets too thick, it don't get very done. So like for my whole 9x13 pan, I'm using 1 box, which you just have to spoon it out in little places so that way it can get done in between.
Sounds good. Next, we're going to preheat the oven to 400. So next we are going to be adding our mixture with the taco seasoning, corn, beef, and we end up using 3 cans. And we said the original recipe, you guys might have a different variation, but this is the recipe that came from my grandma and her mom. That's what it looks like spread out in the pan. Okay, so we've added our cornbread mix and 1 egg according to the box instructions. Again, later we will probably post a cornbread recipe, but you can use your own or just this mix. And we're going to use this pretty little measuring cup and do 1/3 cup of milk in it. Going to mix it.
Mix it.
Say hi to my 15-year-old brother. Turned 15 when?
Today.
Yay! Finish mixing up that cornbread. We're going to put it on top. Yeah, just putting it kind of in spoonfuls across the top. And that's what it looks like on top. The cornbread's a little bit thinner than normal. Those measuring cups apparently measure a little extra, but it will bake just about the same.
Okay, the recipe says slightly longer than the cornbread mix. So the cornbread mix says slightly longer than you bake your cornbread. And the mix says 20 minutes, so I'll start with 23 minutes.
So at 22 minutes, the top is still looking very pale and undercooked, so we're gonna add it for a couple more minutes.